you showed us 10 years ago, and most of these people weren't here. And we've been discussing whether it's an oil stick or whether it's a wax stick, and it's more wax.
It's actually, it's a Shiva product. And it looks like this, hanging on the counter, no, not on the counter, but hanging on the thing. And it is essentially not easy to use, I'll tell you that right off the bat. I come from an illustration background, so using something that is shaped like a pencil came naturally. But it'll take you a while to figure out how to work them, how to come up with your look. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and do a demonstration. I apologize that it's so small. Hopefully you'll all be able to kind of see around. But in order to get this look, this kind of a look, this really rich, kind of textury, buttery, kind of big swirls of color kind of stuff, you kind of have to work small because my brush is only this big, or is this big. I have done large pieces. I've done actually 4-foot pieces. They're all right. They kind of look like crayon drawings. You know? it doesn't have the same look. Okay. At this size, it comes with a certain kind of sophistication that you're going to get whether you can do this or not. Whether you can, it's just. And these things, I don't know if you can see these with the glare. I had to disappear when after 2008 the whole art world collapsed. And consequently, I haven't painted in a while. Ended up with a tremor in this hand. It's all just kind of, you know, I'm sure you can all relate. And so I was having trouble doing these things after a while. And so I thought, you know, this is kind of like the kind of stuff I do on a computer. And I started doing this. And all this is just laying down a bunch of stuff, a bunch of colors, scribbling. And you got light areas, you got dark areas, you got all this stuff. And if you consider the dark areas a shadow, you start chasing where all the highlights might be. So what you end up with, or what I end up with, is something that looks like something that you can't figure out what the heck it is. Okay? Which I find very intriguing. So that's kind of where I am at the moment. And I will show you exactly how I go through the process. Now, normally I work in a frame, and by frame I mean it's like a sandwich board with a hole cut in one side. I put the paper inside, the cover comes down over, it's got a frame in it, and I work within that frame. And you can't really see it here, but in fact, I'm not even going to take the time to do that. So basically what happens is I'll start with a sketch. So if we're using, say, that as a frame size, and let's say I'm just going to do something simple.
Is it paper or?
This is Stonehenge, and it's about 15 years old. So this is some good paper here. I have recently got, in fact, this is so old it's got foxing on it. I recently went to buy some etching stuff because I have a press and I do mezzotint. And the paper that I was buying was not only 4 times more expensive than what I bought 10 years ago, but it was not even the same weight. Huh. And I was not impressed. So anyway, I would normally, and I'm just going to sketch something in here, and pardon my hand, it doesn't work anymore. But typically, you know, something like that, I'd sketch this all out, I'd know where the house was, I'd know where all the tall trees were, I knew where everything was going, and I would do that. And then, step 2 is I would take olive green, and I would just start with what you might call an underpainting. So essentially I'd go over all the line work, and I'd kind of fill this. And again, you can see, hopefully you can tell, this has a, and another thing, if you want to experiment with this stuff on watercolor paper, It's very cool, especially if you're doing trees, because you get all the pebbly stuff. You get free leaves for no effort. It's great. So, you know, I'll just scribble this in and I'll put in a little bit of a shadow and say some kind of thing that's going on here. Okay, and that's all I do. I would also go around the edges. Something that people always would tell me that I should frame. And that's these goofy things.
Thanks.
Yeah, and I use paper towels. Of course, you can't get good paper towels anymore either. So these are actually very, very old paper towels. But they end up like this, and the nice thing about this is that it actually becomes a tool at some point, and I'll show you that. So if I'm going to do the sky, okay, let's sort of calm down here. If I'm going to do the sky, I'll scribble in. And this is, again, it's all underpainting until it's not. So I work from the back to the front of the painting surface. So I'll just, and the clouds come out as they come out. I have no idea what I'm going to do for the sky. I mean, I don't have any plan. I just don't know. I don't care at this point. I'm just laying in the colors that the sky is going to be comprised of. So, a little bit of that. Some cobalt versus turquoise. Where's the turquoise? Hiding from me. Okay, throw in a little splash of turquoise here and there just for grins. For some reason, I always ended up putting yellow or orange, Azul orange in it. I did a painting one time where I just threw a whole bunch of colors in the sky. It turned out very cool. I was quite impressed, actually. A little purple sage. And some of these things will become shadows. So a little cobalt up here, just for grins. And then, antique white. I leave the titanium for the last, but I use antique white to get to where I'm headed. So basically I'll just start. Another thing that I tend to do if there's a lot of detail is I'll go over, I didn't bring my scratch stick. I'll go over and kind of trace out some of the detail that I might need to hang on to. So you can do that, and you can scratch that in with a stick. My studio has lots of sharpened twigs in it. So anyway, I'm going to go over this. I'm just scribbling. This is actually scribbling, it's not my trimmer. So there's that, and a lot of horizon, kind of light colors in the horizon. Over here, maybe put in some blobs. Again, I'm just messing with it.
Doug, are these colors all opaque?
Yes. Yeah.
They look like they cover over each other pretty good.
They do, and I would say probably the asphaltum can be, yeah, I'd have to say in general that they are indeed all pretty much opaque. There aren't any transparent versions that I've ever used. Okay, so now, while this is looking like, is he gonna take this anywhere? Is it really gonna turn into something? Well, just watch closely. Okay. And I cleaned, say, yesterday's skin off of this just by wiping it on my rough rag, okay? I don't have to go after it with anything. I don't have to cut anything. And now I'll start in the dark areas, and I'll blend into the lighter areas, and I'm just blending around. I'm not trying to blend the whole thing together. I'm just kind of trying to see what's here. And then I'll clean that dark, dirty stuff off. I might go into the lighter areas and sort of expand on those, see what that gives me. Okay. Okay, so then I'll kind of sit back and I kind of see a little cloud bank right here that's going behind the tree. Okay, and we got the horizontal, the way distant clouds, which I usually try to keep in a little horizontal narrow kind of strips. And then go in with peak white, again, clean off the tip. Another thing, the more you clean off, if you can create a tip on this thing while you're cleaning off, it comes in very handy for details. So anyway, I'll come back here and explore this little bank right here and not get too carried away yet, but I'll just throw in some stuff there. Come back down here. Again, I'm just looking for some kind of cloud action here that I'm not going to get terrible. Having a little loose job up there might be kind of fun. Okay, so then I'll go back in with the blender. Another thing you get, I work with about, I can't remember, 12 or 13 colors.
Is the blender just a different color? Or is it a
Yeah,
special tool?
the blender is just without pigment.
Oh, it's just wax and
Yes.
and filler.
Yes. Okay. And it's really nice. It's very handy. Okay, so
Does it pick up color?
it will. You can move color around.
Okay.
See, those are great questions because there's really so much you can do with this medium. And I just kind of got into something that worked and something that sold, and so that's where I got stuck. That's why I like kind of working on these things. Okay, so in chasing down these new kind of cloud forms, I'm going to start in the dark area and work up to where the crown of the cloud is, the lighter areas. So, which kind of helps add to the transparency of the bottom side of the cloud. Back over here. And so I leave the top part of the cloud with a little bit of detail. As you can kind of see, you can sort of see the cloudy kind of look. And I'll just kind of detail them out a little bit and see where I want them to go. And that looks pretty good. So then I'll just come back in, do it all over again. And basically, my hot light source is going to be right behind the tree, because that's going to be your point focus. So, come here, this one. And so I've kind of found now my cloud structures, and now I'm just going to work on those. So I'll get to a point where I feel like the cloud stuff is in place, and that's kind of all I need to do for the moment for that. And so I will maybe come in with, I could come in with some asphaltum, or actually a little ultramarine in the tree, oddly enough. Because when I throw the yellow in, a little green, check on that. So actually all I'm doing is kind of now, creating a little better tree shape in there. So I get something like that going. I want to narrow out that tree trunk because it's just, my stuff is kind of stylized actually. It's impressionist, or it's an impressionistic kind of thing, but it is kind of stylized. So I tend to not be too concerned about proportion. I just kind of go with what I think looks cool. All right, so now let's go. I'm going to darken this bottom end. And I'm gonna do that with gold. Just give it a little color and sage. And again, I'm just throwing in colors that will sort of randomly pop out every once in a while. And actually, I kind of want this. I would like this because I was going to that's how I show you this kind of. This may not exactly be pretty, but it'll be alright. All right, so let's go with the yellow and let's kind of develop our plane. So we've got, this is just a little grassy field, this is going here, here's the shadow, there's a little light behind the shadow, the tree will come out here. And again, this is still underpainting kind of stuff. And so in here, I'm also going to add a touch of sap green, which is nice, so that so that when I go to put the yellow on, some of the green grass will show through. And of course I'm moving a little faster than I normally would. So this will certainly have a Frankenstein sort of appearance, actually. So anyway, then I would come in with yellow ochre and just kind of throw it in here and there. Okay. Let's see. Okay, so I'm going to actually try and find some of this. So I got light coming in here. You can put kind of hard light next to the shadow that's closest to the tree. And that's a distance. So you can sort of start to see. I'll put this over here, put some stuff down here, this curl up here. And again, it's all sort of meant to be kind of fluffy, take your shoes off and want some soft grass kind of look. So now I can just my antique white, go in here. I don't get too much back in here under the bright horizon, but put some there, put some here. Here I'll show you the way I blend this with the yellow.
Is that antique white just kind of warm, or?
Yeah, it's not nearly, if I were to throw, what's in here somewhere. Nope, sorry. If I were to
Or titanium white hiding?
yeah, if I were to throw, thank you so very much. Oh, here it is.
There it is, okay.
It's sitting here right in front of me. I knew it was the one with the plug in it. If I were to throw this in, I mean, here we have some antique white.
Yeah.
If I were to put this in here, you can see how much harder
Oh,
it is.
yeah.
So I basically kind of saved that for little details on the clouds, kind of like that.
Oh, yeah, it's very,
Just kind of, it's real effective.
yeah, okay.
Throw this in down here.
You can really see the difference.
Yeah, it really just pops. So anyway, so now I would come in with my yellow azo here, or azo yellow, and I could blend this stuff and move it around. It starts to soften up. And so you end up with some green popping through where it picked up the other other stuff. And so, then if I was going to, if I was gonna, now this could be a path or it could be some water. I wanted to show you a fun trick using the blender. If this water here. The blender stick we talked about will take away color, or can you erase it? You can't really erase the color, but it will blend just about nothing. So if I'm going to make some water down here at the lower portions of this thing, so to where you can kind of see through it, you can see the rocks maybe through the water, you know, I would take the blender, and there's already some white spots in here. Again, these are just random white spots from me scribbling all over the thing. You can go in, hit those white spots with the blender and shape them, but you can also go in and make spots just by pressing the blender against, you know, by rubbing out the color with the blender. And you can see right now, I mean, if you use your imagination, you can see that that looks like potentially rocks underwater.
Mm-hmm.
And all it takes is some detail. And you haven't done anything other than just kind of mess with it. So there's that kind of thing. Let's see. Let's just continue. Okay, so if I was going to, I could use some more. Now this has kind of a nice. Variegated sort of landscape thing that's going on here, which I'm kind of liking. I might take the blender to the landscape and show you just how soft this can be. Now you have to be careful because you can turn it into mud pretty easy. But just by, you know, even the colors that are there already, the color that's there, you can give it some shape. And just blend these colors together. I usually tend to try and keep the lower part of the picture kind of dark. Everything sort of goes darkish at the end. I usually have a focal point. Now, these pieces, the little farmhouses and the villas and all that kind of stuff, those were kind of, when the frame shops were ordering these things, basically I sold to upscale frame shops. They would buy it, and they'd have specific needs. You know, whatever sold last week they want to get. And so I had to be careful about making it too dark around the edges, but I really like it dark around the edges. So now that I'm not selling artwork, I can do whatever the heck I want. So anyway, this you can see that you end up with all kinds of little things going on that you can start chasing and turn into something. And for me, that's kind of the fun part of these guys, especially the whole scribbling idea of that. And again, you get. A friend of mine told me once that I just blend the snot out. I do too much blending, but the fact of the matter is I really enjoy the softness of them. And so I have worked, another thing, talking about being soft versus textural. You can do a paint, these things will dry up, they'll skin over in about 3 hours. So you can, do an initial painting session, decide to quit, and come back and the next day and work on it. It's going to be like working on concrete or stucco. It's really going to collect medium as you're, working on it. It's going to get real thick, and that may be a look that you want. You can also use a brush. These things, a lot of that, the abstract stuff. And I'm working on a couple of very large abstracts, and I just use the sticks and thinner, just to smear stuff around and get some shapes and get some things going on. And then I go in with the sticks and I start detailing them out. So you can use a brush, you can yeah, you can do whatever you want. You can scrape in them. I used to do stuff where I scraped, mostly if it's koi, I'd paint a koi. And the reason it started this way is because I didn't like how it was coming out. So I thought, well, I gotta scrape it. Scrape, like a Bondo scraper that you can get at Home Depot, that kind of stuff. Credit card would work. Scrape the whole thing down one direction, scrape it another direction, and you end up with this directional smear, which is really cool. And out of that directional smear of vagueness, you can go back in and find the image, rebuild the image. So, so there's all kinds of things that you can try, and I think it's really actually a great tool for breaking out of whatever rut you're in, if that's how you're feeling. So you see, I just lay on color and let it kind of ride, and it looks acceptable.
Do any of these have a sensitivity to heat?
Oh yeah. I would do fairs where I'd always do a demonstration and talk about creamy. Oh my God! I mean, it was too much. You know, I mean, this is a good operating temperature. You know, in your studio, that kind of thing. But outside in the heat, yeah, they get real gooey and messy. That kind of thing. After it dries, it's not a problem.
Right. So these have a finish coat, or is that they dry that way?
No, after I get done painting, especially one that isn't going to go behind glass, I spray them with Krylon varnish, whatever it's called. I can't remember what it's called.
Clear semi-gloss, or?
Yeah, it's Kmart.
Satin?
Well, yeah, no, it's a gloss, and it's the Kmart. It's not Dimar, it's Kmart. Which works great. The more you put on it, the shinier it gets. But I was told from one of my reps, if we didn't have to sell these to be framed behind glass, we could sell more. So that's what I did. I started mounting.
So usually they don't have glass.
Yeah. If I can mount them and spritz them, then we're good. So I mean, you treat it basically just like a box. So let's see where we're going. Let's do the tree. I'll go in with the I'll go and show you how, and again, this is all basically laying down underpainting in various colors and then going in and adding whatever it's going to take to make whatever you're doing look like you want it to look. So I come in with this and throw in a little bit of color. And the harder you press, the more stuff obviously you're going to lay down. You can go over it and over it. So you end up with a little tree action going on. Now I might just move back to the sky a little bit. The sky of these pieces is always the thing that people comment on. The rest of it could probably be dogs playing poker, but they really love the sky.
Nice.
Does look like very fluffy.
Actually, this would be good for plein air. I have, as long as it's not blisteringly hot.
Oh yeah.
Did I hear you say Texas?
No, we were gonna go. I'm going to Cornwall, to England.
Oh, Cornwall.
Oh.
Yeah, so it would be fine. Yeah.
Maybe I should go home and pack.
Yeah, right.
Your instructor with you.
I think you need Cornwall.
It's a beautiful place to do
Yeah,
art.
absolutely.
I went before but wasn't making art, so now I'm going back to make art there.
Cool. Very cool. You gonna stop in while you're down that area and check in with Doc Martin?
I might. Oh. He was there? And the shoes are made in London, yeah.
All right, so give him a little volume.
Oh, Doc Martin from the show.
Yeah.
Yes, also that.
I thought, no, they don't follow me.
No, I didn't. The show in Cornwall, yes, with bags of room.
Yeah.
Bags of room.
Yeah. Hey, I could just sit here and be quiet. I don't need to be right.
It just took me a moment.
All right. So anyway, that's kind of chasing the sky a little bit. And you can do all the tricks that you do with these things, like throwing in a little turquoise in the dark areas of stuff. Which I used to, I did a little bit in that piece over there. I used to do it in the tall trees, with a little turquoise in the shadow downs.
So you throw turquoise in your dark areas?
Yeah, sometimes,
Just to give them more dimension?
Yeah,
Okay.
and it just adds a little interest to the whole thing. So now it's just a matter of just going in and finding, like for instance, there's a little slump of something going there. And of course, further away you get, the smaller the clumps get. I find sometimes I end up being a little too clumpy, and that turns out to be exactly what it looks like. Now I can go in over that white with my yellow, and it just kind of brightens it up a little bit. I hope everybody can kind of see what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we can see.
Okay. So let's see, what else? I wanted to show you, what was the other trick? I wanted to show you how these things become kind of a tool. You kind of need a clean one. This'll do. No, you need something with some texture on it. And probably not nearly as much dust as mine have. And so with this texture, you go in and you rough up. Basically, I'm just cleaning off my brush with my stick here. And it's not necessarily to make it clean. It's to just get it to where it has kind of a scruffy end. This is what I mean by it.
Where do you buy your supply?
You can buy these anywhere. Columbia Art Supply has them, probably has the best price. And that's down on 15th and Burnside and Sandy. And also a place that you guys probably know about that I absolutely just discovered. And it's over off of about 21st and Powell.
Yeah, new art store.
Yeah, I thought it was new
Huge.
too.
Well, I don't know how new it is, but it's huge.
Well, I went in there and I said, gosh, you guys knew? Oh, no, we've been here for years.
What's the name of it?
It's called Craftsman.
Craftsman.
Yeah, Artists and Craftsmen.
Artists and Craftsmen Supply.
Yeah, it's
And
really
they'll usually have a sign on the corner of Powell and 20th or whatever it is. And, but it's just down the street, probably a block. Okay, so what I've done is I have this collection of yellow here scraped onto my rag, and by touching it, I get a little bit of a texture on my stick, so I can go in and just touch this.
Oh, it's like a stamp now.
Yeah. I'm just basically scribbling down some white. It's like a palette now, and it's very textury. And so what I do now is I'll take my yellow and I'll pick up some white on the end of my yellow stick. And now I can go in, and you probably can't see it back there. I can't even see it. But it's just,
Really just
yeah, you can't, yeah, there, you can see it back in there. And probably if I had a little more texture, I could scrape up, give me this guy. Give me this guy here. Whoops, did I? No. Did my stick just fall on the ground? All right, so let me get some more white down here and something that's a little scratchier. And there. See, you can kind of see they're just like little, probably can't see over me. So I can just put these little guys in there like that.
Nice.
See?
Yep.
Okay. And I can do the same thing in the tree if I want some real hot spots. It'll be just a little bit more than just the yellow. Okay. So there's that. So anyway, another thing I do with here's one. This is PVC pipe again. The collars that go around this thing are 3/4 inch PVC pipe. This is 1/2 inch PVC pipe, and it goes up the back side of this. And with a collar on there, it helps hold the stick in from, I'll be working on it, and it goes like that. And so basically, with a collar and a stick in the back, you can then sort of feed it out by pushing the stick forward. So for those of you who hang out at Home Depot, that's kind of an overview of what. And again, you can go in and use just the white. It blends in with the stuff, with what you've got there. Really kind of livens things up, and then you can go in and blend it if you want, just a little bit. I wouldn't do that actually. And it's, I don't know, I got into where I had a real repetitious thing going on with this stuff, and I could do, if you can get down to if you've got an outlet to sell them and you can get down to really working this stuff, you can do a couple of these things. Well, you can kind of see, it goes pretty fast. But then, of course, I've been doing this since the mid-'80s, working with this product. But if you can come up with something that really works, and you're into kind of impressionistic stuff, then this could be quite fun.
What is the brand name?
The brand name is Shiva, and it is called a paint stick. And I kind of got tired of typing the word paint stick because it's spelled S-T-I-K and being corrected all the time, and then I got paranoid about writing paint stick with a K, thinking people don't know I misspelled a word, so now I just call it the paint stick, and if somebody really wants to know, I'll tell them about it. So it's that's kind of the deal.
S-H-I-V-A. Hey.
Oh, Shiva? Yeah, S-H-I-V-A, yes. Yeah. And by the Richardson Company.
So how do you sign your name?
Actually, for some reason, there is no twig here, I don't know why. You can
Scrape it.
yeah, maybe without the lead. You can come down here. Oh, that's interesting. And you can scrape it in, which I kind of like because now that I have this new wonderful trimmer thing going on, for me to try and take a paintbrush and try and paint it in doesn't work. A lot of times what I do, like for instance on these things, I'll wait for them to dry and then use a colored pencil, because once it dries you can write over it with a colored pencil. I really like the way a gel pen looks, but it just looks like it could be computer art, so I don't use a gel pen. So, not that there's anything wrong with computer art, because I do a lot of it. So anyway, that's kind of the deal in a nutshell. And with the, where's my, with the, you can put in little hot spots with this and go back in. Now this tree's a little crude, but let's not worry too much about it. So anyway, that's kind of the deal.
Wonderful.
Thank you. I have another piece of paper, and I think it'd be fun if you guys wanted to come up here and get your hands dirty and mess with it just to see.
We have
It will get all over
4
you.
minutes.
Oh, 4 minutes? Oh, okay. Well, in that case,
Can we ask them questions?
absolutely.
When did you start painting? When you were a kid?
I was born with a pencil. It was very painful for my mom. Yeah, that's just been set up in 3 hours. And it will be completely dry overnight for certain.
Because oil pastels seem to.
Oil pastels actually don't dry. And so that's what gives me a little bit of a problem. You're chasing me with that. Here, I'll stand over here so you not so close. Actually, it feels just like
Skin on top of